Welcome to the Pictures of Lily podcast Vintage Edition. I'm your host, Lily Moayeri. I have been a music journalist since 1992, and I interview a lot of music-related people. This podcast is about my experience behind the story, what my experience is doing the interviews, just to give you a snapshot of what it's like on the other side of the digital recorder. This is our second year since shifting to the Pictures of Lily podcast Vintage Edition, where I'm sharing my experiences about specific interviews with the bonus of original audio from the artists in those interviews. These interviews pull from my 30-plus years of archives, many of which are recorded on cassette tape.
Pictures of Lily.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Pictures of Lily podcast Vintage Edition. This is Year 6, Episode 92. We publish monthly with a new episode posting on the second Wednesday of each month. You can find us on every platform by going to picturesoflily.com, where you can subscribe or follow us, and also connect to us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pandora, and Amazon, although it's really best to listen to the podcast straight from the source at picturesoflily.com, as it is the highest quality audio and avoids copyright restrictions. This episode is my one and only interview with Radiohead with the group's Colin Greenwood in 1995.
Where did we go from here? The words are coming out, oh, and where are you now? When I need you.
Here are a few snapshots of my experience interviewing Colin Greenwood of Radiohead. When the advanced cassettes for Radiohead's second album, The Bends, started making the rounds among music journalists and magazine editors, people were in a real frenzy. I wasn't a fan of the first album, Pablo Honey, but everyone assured me I would love The Bends, which coincidentally turns 30 next month. I didn't, but one of my editors in San Francisco insisted that I take advantage of the opportunity to interview Radiohead while they were here in Los Angeles. I kind of felt like I couldn't let her down. I met with the group at Capitol Records, and it wasn't lost on me that I was in a room that a lot of people would give anything to be in. Colin Greenwood was chosen to speak with me, and he was very nice. We jumped right in with him asking me where the interview would show up, and I don't know what I asked him, but he was talking about record companies and artist credibility.
Well, he signed to EMI, and there was like this thing, not so true now, about how it's like kind of not cool to sign to a major label, and it's not credible or whatever, you know. He sucks. So. But that all changed whilst we were in our first year with EMI, because various independent labels like Creation and various people signed up licensing deals with the majors like Sony and stuff like that, you know. And so it's just such a ridiculous thing to get into, and you know, and certain journalists now who's on the Enemy Melody Maker now have their own labels. With bands like Gene and Elastica and stuff, you know, which are through majors as well. So, you know, it's just an adolescent thing that I think the journalists grow out of.
What is?
The credibility of the artist being determined by the label that they're on. You know, I think it's the other way around. I think the credibility of the label should be determined by the artists. You know, rather than the artist by the label. You know, so it's like Parlophone. We're on Parlophone at home, which is obviously famous for the Beatles and Queen, I suppose. You know, it's quite very cool at the moment. It's got us, Supergrass,
EMF.
Yeah. Morrissey, I like Morrissey. I like Pet Shop Boys.
I love Pet Shop Boys.
Us, and then it markets people like Blur, I suppose, who've done very well in England at the moment. So it's a very cool label at the moment. It's probably the best label in England at the moment.
I'm not sure what happened in this next bit, but we both went quiet, but I think it had something to do with the bottled water we were drinking, maybe.
Like tons of pressure from the last one to the first one. I mean, from the first one to this one. Album-wise, I mean.
Ooh, this thing goes fizzy.
Is it fizzy?
Tons of pressure.
Just, you know how it is when your first album does so well and they expect you to just be the same on the second one. Or even better. Is it not fizzy at all?
Looking for
It's just regular water, huh? I'm seeing a few bubbles.
Pressure. I mean, any pressure that a record company exerts on an artist can never be as great as the pressure the artist exerts on themselves.
That's what I'm talking about. Pressure you exert on yourself.
All right, okay. Yeah, I mean, it was difficult because we scheduled the record when we were recording it. We started recording in March 1994, and we intended to record 2 weeks for 2 weeks, like 5 songs, and choose like 2 of those to be singles in America and in England. And then the record was going to come out in September, and the first single was going to be out in June, July, so this time last year.
This time last year.
Yeah. But it didn't work out like that because it was stupid, because it put too much pressure on the songs and made the album lopsided, because, you know, you should always like do the record and then choose what the good songs, you know. So that didn't work, and it was caused a lot of tension in the studio, which got better as time went on, and we put the album back. We spent about 8-9 weeks in the studio, and we recorded about 10 tracks, something ridiculous. 12 tracks, I can't remember. Anyway, but then we had to leave the studio, and we went out, and because we were supposedly should have finished the record by then, but it wasn't finished. So in May we went out and did this tour that we had set up before the album, and so we put the record on hold, and we went to Spain, Italy, France, Australia, Hong Kong, Japan, New Zealand, Switzerland, but not in the order that I just mentioned, because that would be crazy, obviously. And we had a really good time, and then we came back and finished the record in 2 weeks, about 8-9 tracks in 2 weeks, and it sounded great. So
you really did need a break, didn't you?
Yeah, we needed a break, and we needed to like just, you know, I don't know, it's very difficult, but you know, as long as we learned something out of it, I don't care, it'll be fine. I think it's a really good record anyway.
Everybody seems to think it's just amazing.
He was telling me about this unusual gig they played in San Francisco just before coming to Los Angeles, gave advice about what to pack, and commented on my foot size, and then we got to Shakespeare.
But we played just in Heaven Plaza like yesterday.
What is that?
It's this place where, I didn't know, but apparently you two played there a few years ago.
Was it an actual show?
Yeah, it was a show, yeah. And we played this open air thing in San Francisco, at the top of Market Road, or whatever, Market Street, in the Bay. And we played to about 4,000 people.
Really?
Yeah.
God, that's something I should have seen.
It was seriously amazing. I've never seen so many people to be so quiet. And so we were all like fast asleep standing up when we played like a song called Fate Festive Trees. And Street Spirit and High and Dry, all seems good.
That sounds familiar to me.
And we played Moe's in Seattle 2 nights before, which is a really good club.
Were these outdoors or indoors?
That was indoors. That was a small club. I mean,
but what about San Francisco?
That was outdoors.
What's the weather like right now?
Beautiful.
What kind of clothes am I taking?
Everyone got burned. What kind of clothes should you take? Take some sun cream and take some tops and things. No big coats.
No big coats?
No, light jackets. A little fresher, obviously. There's more of a wind than there is in LA.
Of course.
But at the same time, the sun is actually a little harsher.
Because last year I went in April and it was horrible.
Really cold.
Freezing, and it was sleeting.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Okay, good. I'm going at a good time then. Oh, I don't know. Just
I
go
like
on.
your shoes.
Thank you.
Square toes.
Square toes are cool.
What size feet have you got?
3 English sizes.
It's very tiny, aren't they?
But I think these shoes make my feet look smaller. Oh my god. They make my feet look
I've got
smaller
small
than
feet.
What size feet?
8.
Are those
Not
English
that big.
8s?
Yeah,
Okay.
not that big. Yeah.
No. But big feet are gross, I think.
Do you think so?
Just like paddles, don't they?
Paddles, that's a good word. That's one of Shakespeare's favourite words, paddles.
Really? What does he use them about though?
Fingers.
Oh.
Paddles. And also paddling, and it's an obscene or a suggestive gesture with your fingers to make paddle. Or to sort of, it's caught it with your hands. In fellow.
I bet that. I really like Shakespeare actually.
From Shakespeare to calling Oasis assholes.
But I don't remember very much of what I read, that's what I've noticed.
I'm the same, I have a shocking memory. I really think I should be doing, so I really don't do drugs at all, but I really think I should I should have deserved to have had a really good time doing lots of drugs from the quality of my long and short-term memory is so bad.
No, I remember everything that happens, and I remember numbers and dates really well, but it's just not stuff I read, unfortunately, which makes studying very hard.
Yeah, I mean...
Because I knew I read it, I just didn't know why everybody knew what they had read and I did not. I'm sure there's some kind of exercises you can do for that sort of thing, isn't there?
Dr. Anton Karas.
What is that?
Amaze your friends, like newspapers, amaze your friends and parties and
with your memory.
Strangers with your memory.
And your ability to multiply really large numbers.
And there was a rubbish of solicitors ads in papers that send now at £3.50 how to improve your memory. So, God, that's one of the things, meeting people doing this. You meet so many people, you forget their names all the time. It's only happened a couple of times where someone takes offence. So it's quite funny. And I went to see a band called Oasis. And,
my favorite band.
Do you like Oasis?
I love them.
Arseholes, though.
Yeah, well, I met Noel when he was a roadie for Spiral Carpets.
Really?
He was an asshole then too, but he was very funny.
To recounting every chart option the Benz has had since its release.
So you went to see Oasis?
With who were playing? In Ride was supporting. And the Lars were playing as well.
How long ago was it?
This Christmas.
The Lars were together again?
Not really.
Okay.
And it was a shambles. I didn't see the Lars because they were off for 7. Anyway, what's the point of my story? It's not very interesting, I just rambling. Memory, yeah. I met this woman called, I can't remember her name now, Julia. She's the girlfriend of this guy who manages one of my favourite bands called Strange Love. Fern, so I know his name. And I was 10 minutes talking to her, introduced her, and then after 10 minutes long conversation, I go, I'm really sorry, I could see all names were slipped and stuff, and she just took extreme offence, and she called me a wanker and stuff, The funny thing to the story though is so I got really heated and I said, look,
it's sensitive.
I meet thousands of people, loads of people every year, hundreds of people. I can wake up. To find out a week later that she didn't realise I was in Radiohead. She thought I was a groupie or a crew person or something, and she was really mortified and sent her apologies and said she was so sorry. She'd known I was in Radiohead. And I thought, fuck, that's so sad.
I think you would have preferred it if she just got mad on her own.
As a human being, that's what you do, It's just so, it's like,
Do you remember my name?
Sorry?
Do you remember my name?
Lily?
Yes.
You
have to remember it until you leave the room.
Well, that's easy because my cousin's daughter's called Lily.
Okay.
Alison Lily. She's a very beautiful little girl, and she came to see us when we played Norwich 2.5 weeks ago. We did the UK tour. We played this club called the Waterfront in Norwich. It's really good. It was the best gig of the tour, actually.
How's the whole tour go?
Amazing. It was mostly sold out. All sold out, except one day, which doesn't count.
What kind of venues?
Well, a lot of them were moved up to bigger places, so they're originally selling out around 600s, then moved up to about 1,500 places.
Oh, cool.
So it's really good. People really come into the music. So many people need new songs. And we finished the tour at the Town and Country, or the Forum. That was really good. So.
Where did the album come out at the same time in England as it did here?
No, the album came out 3 weeks ago, and it went in at number 6, then went down to number 11, and this week it's number 15. Number 13 this week, number 15, so that's alright.
That's really
But the Blur album is still top 10 or something a year later.
It's not that good.
And inevitably talking about Britpop, which Radiohead have nothing to do with.
Are you as popular in England as you are here?
Or popularity was we sell out touring a record and doing well. It's good, it's good that we're in America and we haven't been linked to UK Britpop really,
right?
Which is nice.
You don't really fit into any of those anyway.
No, there's niches.
But you know how unusual it is that you did do well over here, don't you?
Yeah.
Because they're just so close to all British bands.
so close to what?
Closed.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, one of the reasons we did so well is because loads of people thought we were American.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people would you'd be surprised. People thought we
wonder
were
why.
an American band.
Did they think that in England as well?
No. What do people think in England? Things were only starting to get like press at all in England. You know, we always like had problems with press. Whilst recently we've been in every paper and magazine, everything. So we're everywhere.
The problem with press in England is it's actually a blessing in disguise, isn't it? In the long run.
What is the problem?
Well, I mean, if you don't get press in England, then at least, you know, they don't hype you up into something and force you down to
Yeah,
and then decide, okay, we're done with them now.
Yeah, it was good for us. I think you have to take those countries. You know, I think the songs are good when you do well, but you have to take it. You have to play America on its own terms and not do any kind of preconceptions when you do it from home. You know, and I think that's what Oasis. I like to think that's what Oasis are feeling in Elastica and stuff. So.
She was telling me that tonight the thing that you're playing is going to be just like a full-on regular show, even though it's inside the record shop.
Yeah. Tower Records in the store.
That should be good. I think I'm going to go. I didn't even know until today.
It should be good. Yeah, yesterday was really good. So yesterday.
Are you going to come back and do a regular tour soon?
And then maybe we'll be doing dates. We're going to be touring on and off for about 2 or 3 months from America.
Around America.
Everywhere. Anywhere they'll have us, we'll be there.
When did you write the songs for this album? Was it...
The songs were written mostly by Tom and Johnny.
Right.
On acoustic guitars during the last October tour '93. But like it's difficult. Like the first song on the album, Planet Telex, was done in the studio with Ed and Tom. Just did that, like with some odd loops and stuff. And then other songs like The Bends, which is the title track, we were playing it just after we recorded the first album. So High and Dry, which is another song on the record, was a song that we actually recorded. That's a demo on the record. It's not actually the one we did with Lucky. And we just mixed it up because it sounded good.
It's cool.
So it's like 2.5 years old. And My Own Lung, the second track on the side 2, is recorded live in the Astoria when we did the video in London. So, you know, this is quite a disparate, you know, there isn't... For a record that we spent a lot of time just thinking about how it should all fit together, it's actually recorded quite separately.
I'm telling you, you'd never know it though. It also flows together really well.
Yeah, it does really. Yeah, we spent a lot of time thinking about that. So the first record, Pablo Honey, we fucked a bit because we didn't really think about songs, order and stuff.
Maybe it was better that way though. Why'd you call the album The Bends?
The Bends, because
Because I know what that means, but why The Bends?
Why The Bends? Because it's called name. Because there's a name of the song called The Bends.
Right.
And because you know it's like about different periods of time it takes to adjust to your environment and getting used to where you are and coming up from one place to another. Like if you were to suddenly get on a plane and go back to Oxford now, it'd be very strange for me. It's very strange for me to get home. It's becoming less strange, but in a bad way. Oxford's just becoming another place on the map, which is kind of really sad, really. Because it's now accepted at home that this is what I'm doing. So I don't have so many. I still have lots of friends, but I don't have. It's not really. It's become a norm rather than a. So it's kind of easier to be at home now, but also it's less like home. It's not so. When you've been away from home for a long time or a long holiday, home's always a little strange.
Well, you become more worldly, don't you?
More worldly. I don't know, I suppose so. But the Bends, yeah. So all that stuff was like decompression and stuff. It's interesting. I met this guy called Mac, who he's related to our management. We played in Cornwall in the show in Truro. This old city hall, and these kids have never seen the concerts. They're very rare. And anyway, this guy Mac, he's a diver. He moved down to Cornwall in '67 with 15 of his friends just to do diving. And there are only 5 of them left alive now.
Because the band?
Well, a couple of them died. off the coast. So you get it from 45 feet down and stuff. And he actually, one of his friends died of cerebral hemorrhage from the resuscitate him for 2 hours to the nearest decompression unit and stuff.
Wow.
Interesting.
No, but once you explain to me, it makes all the sense in the world why you call the bends, though.
Does it?
Yes, it makes...
Not too much sense, I have.
No, it makes... Well, yeah, it does, actually. It makes way too much sense.
No, because it
It's
sounds
like perfect now.
Hoary-old rock and roll Groundhog Day motel code.
No, because now I'm the only person that knows it. I've never heard anybody else explain why. All those things that I read about you, they said what the bends were, but they didn't say why the bends.
It's just, so when you sign to a record company to be in a band, you think it's just about recording music and then getting it played on the radio and doing some gigs. And it's
Did you really think that?
No, of course not. And I'm being a little disingenuous, perhaps, and overly naive. But you see it, but at the same time, you don't expect to spend 2 weeks touring Mexico or stuff like that, or Thailand, or we've been
very
everywhere.
Many people do that, 2 weeks touring Mexico.
Right. No, we were the only other band. The only other band who's done it was Meridian, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't tour. We only did 7 gigs.
7 gigs in Mexico is really a lot of gigs.
Now we had a great time.
If I know anybody who's played Mexico, it's 1 gig.
Yeah, it was good to the Mexico City, played a few thousand, and then we said no, we're taking it to the kids. And it was great. It was a nightmare for our crew. They all nearly left. We had a great time.
Mexico seems like it would have a lot of character.
Well, the record's doing really well as well, but the economy's not doing very well.
Right.
But obviously, Phil and Ed were in Mexico last week doing 3 days of interviews and press and stuff.
Oh, wow.
For the album, so.
Really?
And dating Guadalajara and a bit somewhere else. We played Guadalajara, Guanajuato, Pachuca, Ojo de Agua, which is this resort.
Look at you just rolling these names out.
And that's great, somewhere else.
They're just so familiar to you. I'm I know that Guadalajara, and that's fine.
Wow, it's great. Guadalajara is great. It's got this big monument to Carlos Quinto, Charles V.
Right.
Leader of the Habsburg Empire. I did my studying when I was at school about him. So checking it out.
That must be exciting to go see it after you've studied it.
Oh, it's the best thing. One of the best things of the job. It's going to Barcelona and checking out the Escorial in Madrid and stuff like that. Outside Madrid, going down to Seville, checking out the Morisco art and stuff. Cause I spent a lot of time doing Spanish history. I'm teaching myself Spanish at the moment and stuff. I speak some Italian, but I speak no Spanish. I'm on chapter 2.
Okay.
Teach yourself Spanish BBC. But it's great, and it's great. It just makes all the difference and opens up loads of doors.
Right.
And I went to this amazing nightclub in Guadalajara, and it just opened. It was incredible. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And then I could speak Spanish.
Appalling. I didn't think it was that bad. Now I've read things about Mexico and its character and the warmth and the colors and the people. I read Anais Nin, and she went there because she wanted to get her green card or something, and she just fell in love with the whole flavor, I think. And she just made it seem just so warm. And the way she was describing it, my friend who lives down there now, I could see why she is the way she is if that's where she's coming from. Because she's just wonderful. Very warm and,
Yeah, now it's amazing. I've seen some things. But yeah, I could tell you.
Well, in Mexico?
Anywhere.
Oh, right.
Any country.
Do you actually go around and see things? Or?
Morale is very low if we don't get to get out and see places and check out stuff. It's a privilege to be there. But it's also, I think we should demand the right to check it out as well. Rather than staying in the Omni Hotel 10 miles out of town and just watching porno movies, which is what a lot of bands do, especially English bands. Very proud of that. Culturally embrace this.
Then he talked about how much the beer in the US sucks.
Yes, it sucks. I've forgotten,
Does it? Is it not the same?
I spent in total time ever, I spent about 6 months of my life in America.
Right.
It's quite a long time, on and off.
Right.
Maybe up to a year, actually. No, 6 months, 6 months.
You want to have a beer you can enjoy.
Yeah, and the micros are okay, but Canadian micros are much better. We just come back from Canada. We were in Canada last week.
Where were you?
Montreal, which I love. Toronto, which is okay, but quite Americanized. And Vancouver, which is kind of West Coast Americanized.
Yeah, it
but
is.
beautiful. It seems to be from BBC.
Right.
And it was lovely. You know, this beautiful woman who worked there. She was really fascinating. She's family was Japanese, Irish, Jewish, Swedish background. Amazing.
She's the one that worked for the BBC.
No, she got really ski.
For the ski.
Grass mountain. So that was great. Did a gig at the Railway Club with Tom and Johnny did, and the fight started, and they got pretty hairy.
Just them two did it?
Yeah, because
just an acoustic thing.
The gear, so.
When was this?
When was that? That was last weekend.
Okay, so that was pretty recent.
Yeah. I love Montreal. I want to go to Quebec City. So I want to check out Quebec City.
Well, I'm sure you'll go there next time.
It's one of the few places where they encourage you to speak French, you know. Like
I think they force you to, don't they?
Yeah. So I've been there, done that. That was good. It's funny, everywhere we go we hear stories of Blur being really arrogant.
Oh, that's sad.
I think they burnt their bridges quite a lot early on. But anyway, we're not talking about Blur.
For some reason, I mentioned certain bands being cute, which made Colin turn around and ask me,
You think we're cute as a band?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, you're cute.
and that's where we left it. Whenever I recall this interview with Colin, I remember it as being very brief, but it doesn't feel like that at all listening back to it. I never interviewed Radiohead again, but I'm glad I had this experience. For more of things like this, the Pictures of Lily newsletter goes out every couple of weeks and you can subscribe to it for free. For my paid subscribers, I am posting bonus newsletters that include print-only interviews from my 32-year archive, including classic ones from the 90s, with The Cure, Oasis, The Verve, Blur, Pulp, Supergrass, Portishead, Erasure, Electronic, Suede, Daft Punk, Massive Attack, Air, Black Grape, and more to come. For founding members, there are additional interviews with Noel Gallagher, Richard Ashcroft, Damon Albarn, Jarvis Cocker, The Chemical Brothers, Massive Attack, Erasure, Primal Scream, and Daft Punk. I will link the Pictures of Lily newsletter in this podcast if you'd like to subscribe to it for free. Any paid subscriptions to the Pictures of Lily newsletter go straight to supporting the production of this always free podcast. From myself and my co-producer, director, editor, Lawrence Schroeder, thanks for listening. And if you have a chance to subscribe or follow the podcast on any of the podcast platforms, please do so and please rate and review. You can connect to us on picturesoflily.com, and from there you can choose your preferred podcast platform or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or Pandora or Amazon. You can also find the playlist for the podcast episodes on Spotify and YouTube.
Where do we go from here? The words are coming out all weird. Where are you now? When I need you.
Thanks for listening.
Pictures of Lily.